Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
We're live for you this noon in Fort Bragg, where President Donald Trump will speak, celebrating the Army's 250th birthday.
And our next weather maker is a front that's going to move across the area this evening. It could bring severe storms. I'll show you the timeline.
Silent protest. How local demonstrations plan to signal their opposition as lawmakers prepare to vote on a new immigration bill.
In less than 30 minutes, President Donald Trump is expected to arrive in North Carolina. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Trump's visit helps kick off a week of celebrations marking the U.S. Army's 250th birthday. We have live team coverage of the president's visit to the largest military installation in the Army. Sean Gallagher is live on post. We begin with Michelle McConaughey in the WRAL Live Center.
Yeah, this is an exciting day. The president coming down to Fayetteville. This is a live look at the White House right now. The president is scheduled to leave the White House at about 12 o'clock. So it is 12 o'clock right now. He could be leaving the White House any moment now. We do see a couple of people coming in and out of the door. So we are keeping a close eye on this. Trump is supposed to depart from Joint Base Andrews at 12:30 this afternoon. I know that Sean Gallagher is live down in Fort Bragg with more on the president's visit. Sean.
Yeah, Michelle, it is just starting to fill up here with a lot of military personnel here at Fort Bragg. They have been filing in for the last hour and a half or so. They're expecting a lot of people here, and the president's still about 4 hours away from speaking here at Fort Bragg. But this is a day to mark the celebration of the Army's 250th birthday. People in attendance are getting a chance to get up close and personal with some military vehicles, some artillery, and other things that they use within the military. Early this afternoon, the president will be on hand to witness an Army readiness demonstration, which will be a dynamic show of force, including paratroopers and other military equipment as well. Plus, the Golden Knights will be leaping from airplanes, too. And this is a fitting location, though. This is the United States' largest military post with 48,000 active military assigned to Fort Bragg. Now, the president posted on social media just a few hours ago that he has a very big speech planned. Again, that will happen around 4 o'clock, and we'll, of course, bring that to you later this afternoon. But for now, Fort Bragg, Sean Gallagher, WRAL News.
This morning, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth testified before a House panel as questions regarding the deployment of troops to Los Angeles are many. The troops are being called under Title 10, which allows the president to send in military forces to protect federal property and personnel. U.S. officials say the troops will carry guns and ammunition separately to use in self-defense and to protect federal property. The Pentagon says deploying Marines and National Guard there to Los Angeles will cost $134 million. Today's celebration includes a flyover, a Golden Knights jump, family-friendly activities, and much more. And you can watch the president's full speech from Fort Bragg live on Fox 50. And then you can look for live team coverage from Sean Gallagher and Monica Casey from the Post beginning at 4 p.m.
A cold front crosses the area this evening, bringing a small chance for severe storms. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at what time those storms will arrive where you are. Elizabeth.
It's likely to be during the evening hours, after dinner, after sunset, especially for our western counties. This is a system that may not even make it into our eastern counties. Here's a look at where the front is right now. It will continue to slowly drift across our area over the next few hours. Right now, we're taking a look at Dual Doppler 5000, and you can see just a little bit of light patchy rain that's starting to develop down to the south. We'll zoom in and you can see just a few sprinkles in the area down here across parts of Hope County, Cumberland County, and Sampson County. So again, just looking at that small chance for some showers as we get through the next few hours. Again, it's likely to be late this afternoon into the evening before we end up seeing those showers and thunderstorms developing across our area. Lots of cloud cover out there. We're seeing a little bit of sunshine trying to peek through in places. It is likely to stay a good bit cooler than yesterday with high temperatures in the 80s. Let's jump in and take a look at Futurecast again. As we get closer to 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there may be 1 or 2 of these little cells that pop up across our area, and then a line forms well to our west and starts to move in across the area as we get into the evening hours. 1 or 2 of these cells could produce some wind damage. Wind damage will definitely be the biggest threat that we'll end up seeing from this particular system. Once this moves on by, we get a nice little break for Wednesday, and then by Thursday and Friday, we start to see a better chance of thunderstorms moving through. Heat Food Index is going to be a big deal for us toward the end of the week and for the Father's Day weekend. I'll show you that coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. Los Angeles has entered its 5th day of disruption as protests continue against President Trump's immigration crackdown. Here are the latest developments. Damage appears to be limited to a portion of downtown LA, while much of the city has not been affected. The Los Angeles County Supervisor says opportunists are taking advantage of a situation that unfortunately continues to escalate. Michelle McConaughey in the WRAL Live Center with additional headlines.
Yeah, Renee, I want to start with this and show you the graffiti cleanup that is happening in Los Angeles right now. You can see workers here painting over the graffiti that these protesters had sprayed there. Damaged Adidas store as well in downtown Los Angeles. Take a look at this video covered with wooden panels early Tuesday morning after the protest. We want to show you that video here in just a second. But also, we're learning this afternoon President Donald Trump defending his controversial decision to deploy the National Guard to Los Angeles. In just the past 5 minutes, we've learned the Pentagon says deploying Marines and the National Guard to protest there in LA will cost $134 million. But President Trump saying LA would be burning to the ground if he did not send the National Guard. We're going to stay here in the Live Center and keep an eye on this and bring you any updates as they come in.
Here at home, meantime, protests are expected at the state legislature today. That's where the Senate is expected to give final approval to 2 measures cracking down on undocumented immigrants in North Carolina. WRAL's Ken Smith is here now with a look at what those bills would do, Ken.
Jeff, Republican state lawmakers appear to be taking their cues from President Trump when it comes to undocumented immigrants. The idea, according to GOP lawmakers, is to discourage them from coming to live in North Carolina. As for the bills being debated this afternoon, one would require all service agencies, even public health clinics, to check everyone's immigration status. All government agencies would be banned from providing any help to undocumented immigrants. It would also require schools, universities, and community colleges to cooperate with ICE investigations. That bill is expected to pass and go to Governor Josh Stein next. The other measure specifies sheriffs must hold any prisoner suspected of being undocumented for 48 hours after they would be released to give ICE agents more time to come pick them up. Republicans say some sheriffs in Democratic-led counties have not been following the law on that issue. Protesters from immigrant advocacy groups are expected at the voting session this afternoon. Many of them say immigrant families include members who are documented as well as those who are undocumented. That vote is expected around 4 o'clock this afternoon. Our NC Capitol team will be there and have new reporting in our early evening newscasts and, of course, online.
All right, Ken, thanks. Ahead of the president's visit, leaders from the North Carolina Democratic Party traveled to Fayetteville, and during a news conference there, they criticized the president's plan to cut funding for the Department of Veteran Affairs. The vice chair says millions of veterans need mental health care.
Trump's plan would needlessly exacerbate those numbers by cutting millions of dollars from existing programs. Trump's proposed budget bill will severely limit access to that care, due in part to the potential for massive layoffs.
The Trump administration plans to eliminate up to 80,000 jobs at the VA, but the secretary of the VA says the layoffs will not lead to cuts in veterans' benefits.
Today, House lawmakers are expected to advance a bill that would allow almost anyone 18 or older to carry a concealed gun without a permit. If approved, it would set up a chamber vote tomorrow that's expected to send the measure to Governor Josh Stein, who is expected to veto it. Some law enforcement leaders oppose the idea of lowering the age for concealed carry from 21 to 18. Democratic lawmakers say requiring a permit ensures that the gun owner has had basic training in safe gun handling. Republican lawmakers say it's an infringement on gun owners' Second Amendment rights. Today's vote comes on the heels of a new report that finds gun deaths among kids surged in states that loosened their gun laws after a landmark 2010 Supreme Court ruling. The ruling gave states more power to set their own gun regulations. The study found all of the increases in child deaths happened in states that had more lenient gun laws. Half of the states considered to have strict gun laws saw a decrease in child gun deaths.
We're working to learn the name and condition of a driver who veered off the road and landed in a pond. This was the scene this morning off Averett Road near Wake Forest. Rescue crews pulled a man from a car that had crashed into the water there. It happened just before 7 o'clock this morning. The driver was taken to the hospital for treatment, Investigators say no one else was involved in the crash and no one else was in the car with the driver. A 13-year-old is charged in connection with a shooting at a North Raleigh apartment complex. It happened around 6:30 yesterday evening in the 4700 block off Caldera Lane. Officers found a 17-year-old male who had been shot. He was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. The 13-year-old is charged with assault with a deadly weapon.
A gas leak in Holly Springs shut down Main Street for a little while this morning. The leak was reported around 10 a.m. at the intersection of North Main and West Holly Springs Road. It's not clear what caused the leak. Construction crews are working in that area. Enbridge Gas quickly responded and stopped the leak. Traffic is once again moving through that area.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, UNC head football coach Bill Belichick spoke earlier this morning about the upcoming football season. I listened in to what he had to say at the press conference. He says it's been a very exciting past couple of weeks. He says the players have been working out. There are a lot of new faces since last season, the end of last season. He said there's been a lot of turnover. About 2/3 of the roster is completely different. It has changed, he said, because of eligibility of some of the players. Some of them left for the draft, but he's so excited for what's to come. Take a listen.
A lot of new faces, but definitely coming together. And training's been good. We've made a lot of improvement. It's good team chemistry, a lot of individual improvement, and obviously we got a long way to go, but we're working hard. We're making progress.
And he certainly is looking forward to rounding out training camp and getting into the next season. WRAL's Heidi Kirk will have a live report from UNC coming up at 12:30.
Less than 3 months to the start of football season. Michelle, thank you. Next at noon, another Chinese researcher is caught smuggling biological material into the U.S. What she said when she got caught.
Also, a high school shooting in Austria. 9 people are dead. What police are saying about the shooter.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
A Chinese researcher accused of smuggling biological material into the U.S. is due in court tomorrow. This is the 3rd Chinese researcher accused of the same crime. NBC's Stephanie Gosk reports the suspect admitted lying to officers during her inspection.
This morning, the government charging a researcher from Wuhan, China, for allegedly smuggling biological materials into the U.S. Authorities questioning and arresting Chung Chuan Han at the airport in Detroit this weekend. The Chinese national and doctoral student was planning to study at the University of Michigan. Investigators say she lied to federal agents and smuggled organisms in petri dishes into the country. It's the 3rd time in less than 2 weeks that a Chinese national with ties to the University of Michigan has been charged with federal crimes. Last week, a couple, both 34 years old, accused of smuggling a fungus through the Detroit airport, which they said was for their work at a lab at the school.
They're seeking your detention based on the fact that you present a serious risk of flight. Do you understand all that?
Senators at the time sounding the alarm.
If we got into our food supply chain, this fungus, this pathogen would directly affect and destroy our crops. And can you imagine the Chinese with some kind of a plot to undermine the United States by going after our food supply?
In the most recent case, federal officials alleging that Han, the researcher, sometimes hid the material she shipped related to roundworm and requiring a permit in the pages of books. According to the criminal complaint, Han also admitting to authorities that she deleted the contents of her electronic device prior to coming to the United States to, quote, start fresh while she was here in the U.S.
Stephanie Gosk reporting. We have 2 reports to tell you about involving deadly attacks at schools around the world. French authorities say a 15-year-old student is in custody, charged with stabbing a middle school employee to death. It happened during a bag check at the school. Educators introduced bag checks this year at some schools to reduce violence. This spring, nearly 190 knives were seized, 32 people detained during school bag checks. And in
If you own a home, chances are you have homeowners insurance. But what if you rent? You might be surprised how many renters skip insurance altogether. 5 on your side's Keely Arthur breaks down why that could be a costly mistake and what renters can do to protect themselves.
About 88% of homeowners have homeowners insurance, but only about 55% of renters have renters insurance. And that's a problem, considering renters are 3 times more likely to have their home burglarized. And renters insurance can cost on average about $12 a month and can help with all sorts of trying situations.
Renters insurance can provide an important safety net if something happens.
Aside from helping cover damage or theft of your property and reimbursement if you're forced to move out, insurance offers liability protection if someone is injured in your home. It can also cover some possessions when you're not home, like if something is stolen out of your car. But like any type of insurance, check the policy carefully. So when shopping around for a policy, remember to get a few different quotes. Next, make sure the policy has what you want, whether that's a lower deductible or more coverage. Keely Arthur, 5 on your side.
A cyber attack on a major grocery distributor could delay deliveries and lower supplies at some stores. Today, United Natural Foods announced some of its systems were forced offline. They say it impacted their ability to fulfill orders to stores they serve, like Whole Foods. The company says it is working to restock as quickly as possible. This comes after a series of cyber attacks at other major stores, including North Face, Victoria's Secret, and Cartier.
Your next flight could have more entertainment options. United Airlines and Spotify are teaming up to give passengers free access to curated playlists, audiobooks, and podcasts. United expects all of its seats to have this access by next year at some point. The companies are still working to allow passengers to sign in to their own accounts. This is the first time Spotify has worked with an airline to provide in-air service. Disney's planning to spend nearly $440 million to buy Comcast's remaining stake in Hulu. Disney bought 2/3 of the streaming service in 2019 when it took over Fox's entertainment assets. Now they'll have full ownership over the app. This will lead to a fully merged Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN streaming app. The companies are expected to finalize the deal by July 24th.
Presidential visit. You're looking at a live picture from Fort Bragg, where people are beginning to fill the seats ahead of a visit from President Trump.
And here's a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen. We'll be right back.
Now, breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Our team coverage of the president's visit to Fort Bragg continues.
It is the start of the celebrations of the U.S. Army's 250th birthday, and WRAL's Monica Casey is outside the post right now. Monica, we have confirmation the president is on his way.
That's right, Jeff. The president was supposed to take off around noon, and we know that according to the schedule, if everything stays on schedule, he's supposed to be speaking here in a little less than 4 hours. Now, we don't know yet what that speech will be about, but he was teasing on social media earlier this morning that it will be a big speech. Ahead of that speech, this will be a dynamic show of force here at Fort Bragg. It's one of the largest military posts in the world with a storied history. This kicks off the celebration of the Army's 250th birthday, all ahead of a military parade that's scheduled for D.C. this weekend. That parade set to cost about $45 million and happening on the president's 79th birthday. Now, the events here at Fort Bragg kick off at 2 in the afternoon, and the president is scheduled to speak around 4 p.m. Live outside Fort Bragg, Monica Casey, WRAL News.
And today's celebration includes a flyover, a Golden Knights jump, family-friendly activities, and much more. You can catch the president's full speech from Fort Bragg live on Fox 50. Then look for live team coverage from Sean Gallagher and Monica Casey from that post beginning at 4 p.m.
With just months to go before the start of the college football season, North Carolina football head coach Bill Belichick took questions from reporters this morning. That press conference just wrapped up within the hour. WRAL's Heidi Kirk is live outside Keenan Football Center. Heidi, there's been a lot of focus on Belichick since he came to UNC.
Well, and Renee, reporters had the chance to ask questions for about an hour right here on campus. That press conference wrapped up just within about the last 30 minutes or so. And the Tar Heels are counting down to the start of football season, which is just months away. Now, head coach Bill Belichick has been at UNC for about 6 months or so. And we got a chance to ask some of those questions about his career here so far before he's coached a single game on his $30 million guaranteed contract. Belichick's time in Chapel Hill has been defined by his personal life and questions about his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. Now, at the press conference, he says he's focused on his players and the season ahead. And we asked him about Hudson's role with the team and how he keeps his players from being distracted by the attention on his personal life.
There's been, noise out there about a lot of different things. Again, our focus is, day to day, getting better, stacking good days together, having good rest, recovery, and training, moving forward the next day. And from the coaching staff to focus on, how do we help our team get better? That's my job. That's our staff's job is to put a good plan in place so that they can, if they do the work, that they see the improvement. And so, that's what our job is.
Now, we also heard from several football players. What they told us is they're not worried about his personal life either. That noise is a part of college football, and they're just looking forward to the season ahead. Now, the first game will be at the start of September right here at home. Heidi Kirk, WRAL News, live in Chapel Hill.
Covering Wake County, today school leaders will work on a plan to reduce food waste. The school board's Facilities and Operations Committee will hear from a nonprofit called Toward Zero Waste. They will talk about efforts to reuse packaged, unopened food that would otherwise go in the trash. That meeting is scheduled to start at 3 this afternoon over at Wake School headquarters in Cary.
The Trump administration has revoked Biden-era guidance requiring hospitals to provide emergency abortions. The guidance was especially impactful for some states in the Midwest and South with total or near total abortion bans. Jared Halpern reports experts say the move creates more doubt for medical providers.
Added confusion and added harm are what experts are saying will come from the Trump administration's decision to withdraw federal guidance that had required hospitals to provide emergency abortions.
Rescinding guidance, which is what the Trump administration did, creates mass confusion. And so I think what we can expect to see come next is that pregnant people are going to suffer unnecessarily.
The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services released a statement last week saying the guidance does not reflect the policy of this administration. The Biden-era policy was issued in 2022 to preserve abortion access after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. The decision does not change the federal law at the heart of the guidance, the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act, requiring hospitals to give emergency care. However, legal experts say leaving the policy up to interpretation puts both healthcare providers and patients at risk.
The truth is, pregnancy can be a very dangerous condition. The only thing you want on a medical provider's mind in that moment is actually ensuring that they could provide the care they need. And when you deny pregnant patients emergency health care, that is not just it's just too bad, go somewhere else. That means people will die.
That was Jared Halpern reporting. Nearly 20 states restrict abortion.
Deputies say a man with a rifle showed up outside the Sampson County Sheriff's Office today, threatening to kill law enforcement. This morning, deputies confronted Jed Hannigan in the parking lot. They say he got in his vehicle and barricaded himself inside. Negotiations, we're told, lasted nearly 2 hours until he surrendered and then was taken into custody. Hannigan faces several charges, including assault on a government official with a deadly weapon and communicating threats. Pool plunge feels great on a hot day, but the chlorine is tough on your hair and skin. How to best protect them.
Generational differences, how to navigate the workplace with coworkers that may draw from as many as 5 different generations. Download the new WRAL weather app and you can plan ahead for severe weather anytime. Just turn on the alerts to get notified about severe weather in your location. It's free wherever you download your apps. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. dismissed a panel of vaccine advisors that historically guide the government's vaccine recommendations. He plans to retire the 17-member panel and replace them with new members. Kennedy has the authority to appoint and dismiss committee members, but removing the entire panel is unprecedented. The group is made up of pediatricians, immunologists, epidemiologists, and other physicians. Usually members serve 4 years. Doctors are issuing a warning about the rise in skin cancer and the risk as well that goes with it. Now, experts say at least 50% of Americans will be diagnosed before the age of 40. Melanoma is the most dangerous but most common type of basal cell carcinoma, which can be treated if caught in time. To detect melanoma, look for the ABCs of potential cancer. A for asymmetry, B for border irregularity, C for color variation, D for diameter more than 6 millimeters, and E evolving size, shape, or color.
Nothing beats cooling off in the pool on a hot summer day, but that refreshing water can also dry out our skin, hair, even our nails. So what can you do? If you want to protect your hair, you could wear a swim cap or put on leave-in conditioner. And when you get out of the water, rinse off in the shower using a gentle soap for your skin and rich moisturizing conditioner for your hair. Then apply moisturizer to help rehydrate your skin. Most importantly, don't forget to put on sunscreen.
As a dermatologist, it's particularly important for you to wear your sunscreen. So putting that sunscreen on, getting that layer of coverage from the sun, that's also equally important, but also putting that barrier on your skin before you get into the water is important.
People who enjoy soaking in hot tubs will also notice the same kind of dryness on their skin, their hair, and that's because similar chemicals are used to keep the water clean.
Bridging the gap, 4 ways managers can help create synergy in the workplace among varying age groups.
Fluctuating schedules. Many workers are not happy with their jobs, but it's not because of what they do, but when they do it. How inconsistent work schedules affect employees. Even as we take you up on the WRAL tower, we are still under that blanket of clouds, and that will keep our temperatures in the 80s. You're watching WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. Nearly 2/3 of Americans struggle with volatile work schedules. According to a recent National Gallup survey, 41% of workers say they have little to no control of what days or how many hours they work. More than a quarter of them say they don't know their schedule more than 2 weeks in advance. Experts say not everyone wants to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, but they would like more control over their schedules.
And for the first time in history, there are 5 generations in the workforce at the same time. Some people tend to develop an us versus them mentality due to a lack of understanding across age groups. Ted Lindner takes a closer look at what managers can do to help build unity and bridge generational gaps that can create conflict.
Jobs typically bring together employees of different ages and from different backgrounds, which can sometimes cause communication gaps among coworkers from different generations.
So one of the most common things that we hear a lot in generational conflict is, I don't understand this younger generation, that they're always in their feelings. They're always wanting to share.
On the other hand, management experts like Dr. Jim Gwynn of Texas A&M University say younger people may feel like their older colleagues can come across as mean.
Where that perception is my coworker or my boss is coming down on me. They're singling me out. They don't have time for the niceties and try and build someone up and try and make them feel special.
Dr. Gwynn says it all comes down to tone.
How you can say the exact same thing, but if you use a more intense voice, it completely changes the perception of it.
But while Dr. Gwynn says managers shouldn't coddle everyone, acknowledging their bluntness to their team up front may be helpful.
We're on time crunches, and this is how I communicate, and this is how I do that. A lot of times labeling that will help predict and prevent conflict and keep that from escalating.
But no matter your age, no one likes feeling like they're being talked about behind their back. Instead of wondering, Dr. Gwynn recommends a direct approach to resolve conflict.
Going directly to that person and saying, look, I feel like you're upset with me about X, Y, or Z. They'll either bluntly tell you, yes, I'm upset about X, Y, and Z, then we can fix it. Or, wow, no, not upset at all. This is just how I work.
And it was Ted Linda reporting. And how can managers help to bridge the generation gap at work? Encourage mutual mentoring. These meaningful one-on-one relationships can help break down misperceptions. Focus on common ground to build trust. Organize intergenerational activities that involve people of different ages and backgrounds, like community events and team building exercises.
June's full moon, nicknamed the Strawberry Moon, will shine brightly tonight through early tomorrow morning. It will be the lowest hanging full moon since 2006. The moon will be at its fullest at 3:44 Wednesday morning, but will still appear bright and low in the east after sunset today. Now, if you don't want to wake up that early, don't worry. Experts say it will still be visible low in the west opposite the sunrise tomorrow morning. And in case you were wondering, all 12 full moons have nicknames relating to changes in nature through the year. I remember there's been a harvest moon, a wolf moon, pink moon, flower moon. I like strawberry moon, Elizabeth. It just sounds so sweet.
It does. I love strawberries. Unfortunately, we won't get to see it because, ta-da, the clouds. So that's unfortunate. We are seeing a little bit of sunshine trying to break out here in Raleigh, but we do have the potential for some showers and thunderstorms as we get through the afternoon and overnight tonight. And it's just unlikely that we'll see skies clearing in time to catch the moon before it sets early tomorrow morning. However, we might see it Wednesday night. Technically, it won't be full, but it'll still look real pretty and big for Wednesday night and Thursday night, and we'll have a much better chance of seeing it than we will tonight. Cloudy in Fayetteville, some clouds in Apex and in Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill's courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. Definitely some peaks of sun, a little bit of, a few holes in the clouds out there, but for the most part, we're definitely looking at a lot of cloud cover. I want to show you two different features that are going to affect our weather in the next 12 hours or so. First of all, this one down here that really started to pick up in intensity between Savannah and Charleston. There were a number of severe thunderstorm warnings and even a tornado warning. That is holding together as it's coming through eastern South Carolina, and it is likely to bring a band of heavy rain and strong storms to Wilmington. It's likely to fizzle a little bit, but we may catch some of that in our eastern counties over the next 3 to 4 hours. Also back here, this doesn't look like anything right now. But look here, just south of Huntsville, I'm going to start the loop again. Right here at the beginning of the loop, you can see that cluster of thunderstorms. It sort of fizzles out, but you can follow it here to just west of Greenville, and it's starting to redevelop. Now, that's likely to swing through and help to energize our potential for thunderstorms later on this evening. So here's how all that looks on Futurecast. There's that cluster that was in South Carolina. Notice how it sends enough moisture our way that between 3 and 5 o'clock, there could be an isolated cell or two that pops up. Other than that, it fizzles out. And then the one that was over the mountains starts to move in and brings us that chance of some late evening thunderstorms. But the newest runs of the computer models are not too excited about bringing a whole lot of activity. We have another model that we look at that's a high resolution model. It does have a better chance for storms for us late this evening and tonight, but it typically doesn't do as good a job as the one that I just showed you. So a small chance for some gusty winds. We're going to jump forward past Wednesday and Thursday, which look pretty dry, to Father's Day weekend. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we get back to a strong flow coming out of the south, lots of moisture in place. Before that, this high builds in behind tonight's front and gives us a little break on Wednesday and again Thursday. Then the warm front lifts northward, and we're back into a very sticky, muggy pattern. We talked about the high heat index that we'll see Friday, Saturday, and Sunday up near 100. It's a 40% chance of storms Friday afternoon and evening, 50% Saturday and Sunday. How much rain for the weekend? Probably around 3/4 of an inch to an inch, but some places will see a little bit more than that. Again, that heat index for the holiday weekend, 95 to 100 in the afternoon. We also have our Juneteenth celebration on Saturday, and it will be affected by those high heat conditions as well as those afternoon storms.
Bear fans unite. A town in Virginia gathered to watch an animal rescue. A look at this special visitors crowd.
As we wrap things up, we have a look at a few of the headlines we are following for you today. President Trump is expected to be here in North Carolina this afternoon. He'll speak at Fort Bragg to mark the Army's 250th birthday celebration. The president will also witness a readiness demonstration with a show of force, including paratroopers and military equipment. You can count on WRAL for live team coverage of the president's visit during our evening news starting at 4. And watch the president's full speech on Fox 50.
A 13-year-old is charged in connection with a shooting at a North Raleigh apartment complex that seriously injured a 17-year-old. It happened last night on Caldera Lane. The 17-year-old, found with gunshot wounds, was taken to the hospital. The 13-year-old, police say, is charged with assault with a deadly weapon.
UNC football head coach Bill Belichick took questions from the media today, just months away from the start of the college football season. Before he has coached a single game on his $30 million guaranteed contract, Belichick's time in Chapel Hill has been defined by his personal life and questions about his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. But during today's press conference, he said he is focused on his players and the season ahead, as he said every time he's been asked. The Tar Heels season kicks off September 1st at home.
An animal rescue is having a very big impact on one Virginia town. A large crowd gathered to watch wildlife officials remove a bear from a tree. The town of Herndon's main road, Eldon Street, was blocked for hours as officials tried to get the bear down. Wildlife experts came to the rescue. Locals were happy to see his safe capture.
It's exciting. I mean, I saw it on the news and I said, wow, I said, I'm going to get in my car and come down and see it more closer. I feel safe and knowing that he's going to be somewhere safe.
It was the talk of the town. The one-year-old bear has a tracker around his neck, which shows that he made his way across the Potomac River from Maryland before putting on this street-side spectacle.